Hello, I'm Microsoft MVP Tom Morgan. I recently presented a session for my employer Modality called Power Apps and Microsoft's Power Platform Explained. As part of that presentation, I did a demo on using the Microsoft Power Platform to build a COVID-19 employee reporting solution. I wanted to pull just that part of the demo out and show it to you separately with some walkthrough steps to make it really easy for anyone to follow along, even if you've never done anything with the Power Platform before. Now, if you want to watch the full presentation, I'll put a link in the description below so you can do that. There's a registration process to step through, and then you can watch the video for free. But this is just that demo part. Okay, on with the demo. This is what we're going to build. I was kind of thinking about what to build and how we could build something sort of relatively quickly that used as much as the Power Platform as I could think of and was still kind of genuinely a little bit useful. And so this is what I've landed on. So lots of people are going back to work at the moment, and for lots of people that means kind of returning to the office for the first time, and for employers that's a bit of a challenge in terms of the numbers, and also is everything in place, is it COVID secure, etc, etc, etc. So I thought, what about some kind of COVID employee reporting thing where employees can report things that they see that are good or bad. So they might be going to an office for the first time and they see something that is confidence inspiring and they think that's actually really nice, that's useful, I'm glad that is there, that's made me happier. They can take a photo of it and they can kind of report it as a good thing. Similarly, they can report bad things, things that need changing, things that need fixing, things they're not happy about. Somebody in head office or wherever can review those things and decide that some of them need improvement and can mark them as such. And for those things that need improvement, they want to go and start a conversation in Teams to go and get that stuff done. Okay, that's a kind of a bit of a solution there, right? It's you can see how you could change that as well to support lots of different scenarios, but kind of out of the box, that sort of thing sort of makes sense. So what are we actually talking about? This is the plan. Okay, so the user reports their observation using their mobile phone, takes a photo. Somehow they get it into the system. Head office has some kind of app to look through those photos, the observations, along with any kind of messages, and triages them for improvement. Okay, and then for some of those selective observations, they can start a new conversation in Teams and resolve those problems. And then when that happens, the image, the details, everything that is needed to solve that problem gets shipped into Teams where the conversation is happening to get the problem resolved. Cool, sounds good. So how are we actually going to do this? So for the first part, we're going to use Power Automate, which is the thing with flows. We're going to use the mobile app. So I can show you something you can do in Power Automate to create a flow that a user can then initiate from their mobile phone using just the built-in Power Automate app that is free to download and anyone can have. That's going to automatically upload the image to a SharePoint document library. So we're going to use SharePoint as our document store. We're then going to build a Power App that looks at that document store and builds an application based on it for users to iterate through the images and the associated information. And then for those particular images that users want to kind of take further, we're going to add a button so they can go and start a conversation in Microsoft Teams. So that's the plan. So this is my document library. Okay, it's a regular document library I've created in SharePoint. There is nothing magical about it. It's a regular document library. What I've done is added some additional columns. So if you don't know you can do this, in the document library you can add extra columns, extra meta information about your document, about your file. I've added some to support what we want to collect about our observations. So office location, improvement needed, reported by, and a description. And I've already got a couple of images in here. Here's one that someone's taken. Here's another one. And you can see there's some notes against this. You know, new floor markings look good. We need more of these for the entrance. Okay, so this is where new observations are going to come into. Okay, so let's build some of those new observations. So the first thing we're going to do then is build a new Power Automate flow and create a new flow. Let's start from you can build it from a template or you can build it from scratch. We're going to build from scratch and we're going to use an instant cloud flow. So you can see I've got some options for scheduled, desktop, automated. I'm going to do an instant one because it's going to be something that a user kicks off by themselves. And I'm going to choose this manually trigger a flow from the flow button from mobile. And I'm just going to call it COVID-19 employee reporting. And I'll just try and spell it correctly as well. So let's create one of those. Now, I can open this up and I can add inputs. These inputs that I put in here, the users are going to get asked for when they go and use this flow button. And you'll see exactly what that looks like in a minute on my mobile. Okay, so I'm going to add something about the office building. I'm going to add another one for the description. Please provide a description. And then this one is going to be a file, which is going to be the image. Okay, and so that is going to be the picture of the thing that we want to put in our document library. Okay, fine. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. Once we've done all this and we get this information in, we want to go and create a file in this document library. So we can do that in Power Automate. If we look for SharePoint, you'll see the SharePoint connector, and then you can see all of these actions that we can do against SharePoint. Lots and lots of things we can do. The one we're interested in is creating a file. Okay, so it needs the site address and the folder path for our document library. So I'll just choose that. And it's quite clever in it kind of prompts me, it knows, and can help me through just by clicking through. The name of the file, now this needs to be something unique. And so what's really nice though is that each of these boxes exposes information. So as part of this, I have access to all the information that came out of this box, and I have access to it over here just by using this dynamic value. So you can see all of this stuff, not only the questions that I've asked to be put in, but also a whole bunch of stuff about timestamp and the user and stuff as well. So I'm going to use the timestamp because I'm pretty sure it's going to be unique. And then the file content itself is just going to be the image. Okay, so that's going to create the file. Now you'll notice I didn't actually add any of the additional columns, the additional data here. And that's because the create file button doesn't really, operation doesn't really know about them. What I really need to do is do this bit first and then go and get the file properties for the file that I've just created. And then once I've done that, it will know and let me then update all of those extra things. So let me just do that real quick. Again, same thing. Oh, no. Oh, get it in the right place. Okay, so for the ID, I'm going to use the ID of the file that was just created. So now you can see in this create file, which is referencing this operation here, I've got an item ID. Okay, so I can just pop that in there. This is then going to get the file properties for that particular file. I can then use the next one to then go and update those file properties. And the really nice thing now is that if I select this address and this library and the item ID as well, from the file properties, it's pulled in all these things that I now need to do. So these are just the custom columns that I created in my SharePoint document library. So now I can keep those, I can update those, but I want to not use this and not use this. I want to use this, which is the information that the user put in. So if I go down far enough, I'll find office building. I'm going to keep improvement needed as no for everything to start with. I didn't actually ask the user to put their name in. So I don't have a reported by, but I do have the username and user email. That gets put in for free by Power Automate by the button, and description as well. So let's do that and do that and find the description. Okay, and that's it. That gives us everything we need to create a flow that we can now share out to users, and then for every user that's got the Power Automate mobile application on their mobile device, they will see exactly what that looks like. So let's try that then. Okay, so this is the Power Automate application and the mobile application. And you can see there's a button section in it. And you can see that our new COVID-19 employee reporting, the office building, we're going to put in like head office. We're going to choose head office. We're going to choose a picture of a dispenser because we haven't got one of those yet. And we're going to put in the message, dispenser is empty. Okay, so that's going to run, and that's the user experience. Okay, that's what the users experience. They get nicely prompted to put stuff in, and then they're off again. What does that look like for us? Okay, if I come over to this document library, hopefully in a second, or maybe I need to refresh. Let's just refresh and see. I now have a third thing in here. So I have a new item in here, head office, dispenser is empty, and if I click here, I see my dispenser. Okay, perfect. So we've got a flow for getting this information into our document library that works. We can put that out to users. It's nice and safe. They don't have to do anything. It's on their mobile device. It kind of works wherever the Power Automate application works, so iOS and Android, perfect. Now, we need to make this bit a bit better as well. So how are we going to make this bit a little bit better? What we can do now is use a Power App to create an experience that users can use to cycle through this stuff to kind of look at it a bit better. So let's go and create a new application. So this is Power Apps. So park everything, that was Power Automate. This is now Power Apps, okay? And we're going to use this to build something that we can use to access our data. We're going to start from SharePoint because all our data is in SharePoint, and this is going to scaffold us up a pretty good app that we can get started with to start with. Okay, so I need to connect to my SharePoint site, and it's going to pick up some recent sites. I need to type in the name of the document library correctly, like so. Okay, and it's going to create an application for us. And this just takes a second. And when it's done, what it will do is create a basic kind of details, like a list and details application. So and you can see it's already tied it to our data. So we've got 3 items in here. It's kind of tried to pick what it thinks is a sensible thing to put here and kind of got it wrong because we don't really want the name. What we really want is the description, but we'll fix that in a minute. And then we have a details screen with this information, and we have an edit screen as well. So we can make a couple of changes real quick. We don't really want the user here. So if I click on it and come over to advanced, you can just about see under my picture. If I can change the text of this from modified, I'm going to change it to description, like that. That's better. And you can see how it changes in real time with the data. So it's actually really easy to see what's going on. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to get rid of extracted text and title because we're not really using it. What I will do is add in the image, because that would be quite a nice thing to see. If I can just see it, there we go. Let's pop an image in here. Let's do it down here, make it a little bit bigger. And then for the actual image itself, so we're going to do, so I'm using what's called the Browse Gallery, which is a reference. So it's called Browse Gallery 1, which is a reference to this thing here on the left, which is the list of things, the list of items that we had in our SharePoint thing. So I can use Browse Gallery.selected, and that's really the thing that's been selected and showing on the screen. And then I have access to all the same information about from the SharePoint document library, including a link to the item, which in our case is a link to the image, which means that it will render the image nicely. Perfect. So that's pretty good. A couple of other little changes we can make. Let's add in a label for the description because we don't have that yet. So let's do that. And then over on the text, again, this Browse Gallery 1.selected, and I'm going to pull in the description. And if I want to, I can just kind of change the formatting on this a little bit, make some sort of changes, because that's the kind of really important bit really for people kind of reviewing what's going on. Then the only other change I want to make is that this improvement needed section should really be yes and no, and the default is on and off, which isn't great. So if I actually select the actual item itself and again come to advanced, you'll see a lot of properties exist for all of these things, and one of those is what the false and true text should be. So I can quickly change that to no and yes. Okay, so a couple of kind of superficial changes. At any point in time, I can go up and click. Oh, you can't quite see it because my face is in the way. Top right hand corner, there's a play button, and that allows you just to kind of see what your application will look like. And I can navigate through, have a look, check it's all working. I can edit these as well. So if I was to go to this one with more of these for the entrance, I can click edit. I can toggle, let's say, improvement needed and save it and come back. And then just so you know it's not all made up, if I come back to my document library here, you can see this just changed from a few seconds ago to improvement needed of yes for that item. Okay, so this actually works as an application, even though we're still just kind of testing it out. Okay, the final thing I want to show you, just about the time. Let's go back into the detail again. we're going to add a button, because what if we want to actually start a conversation in Teams based on one of these items? So yeah, we need to improve this. How are we actually going to do that? Well, we can add in a button. Let's do that now. Let's put a button down here and let's call it something like start conversation. Oh, there we go, a bit like that. There we go. Now we've got lots and lots of options for what should happen when you click this button. The one we're going to use is Power Automate. So we have another flow which I'm not going to build from scratch because of time, but I am going to show you what it looks like and what this flow does. Oh, sorry, hang on, my flows, that's what I want. What this flow does is goes through and creates a new channel in a specific team I have, and then posts an adaptive card into that channel. An adaptive card is just like text. You can just post text if you want. Adaptive cards are just like the fancy way of doing it. It allows you to put in images and just lay the format out a little bit better. This is all done using adaptive cards. If you're interested in adaptive cards, go to adaptivecards.io. There is like a nice designer you can use to kind of build up how you want your card to look. That's what I did. And then you can just grab the code underneath that you need to put in here. The other interesting thing about this flow is that it's peppered with these dynamic values, which come from this Power Apps kind of operation here. And these are things then that get passed through from Power Apps into Power Automate. And you'll see how that works, well, right now actually, because what I'm going to do in Start Conversation is click Power Automate. And I'm going to choose my Power App that I want to trigger. It's going to think about it, and they're going to talk to each other, and it's going to come back and tell me that actually I need to put in a load of values here. You can see it's put them at the top. It's going to run it, but actually I need to put in a whole load of values to pass through. I'm going to cheat because if you watched me type it all, it just wouldn't work. All I'm doing is passing through, again, that browse gallery one.selected thing to kind of pull out the selected item. And I'm just passing through all this data to Power Apps, to Power Automate, sorry, so that it can do stuff for me. All right, so let's hit play on that again. Let's go through let's try our newly created dispenser is empty. So I might think that actually we need to start a conversation about this, get something changed about this, get something started and do something with this. So I can hit this start conversation button. And when I do that, if I come over here to my team down here, you can just see it just changed and it just pops up with one hidden channel. And that's because it's just created this brand new channel with the date and the time and the title of dispenser is empty. It's created a new conversation. It's pulled in the picture and it's pulled in the title of the information that is in that document library. And this is now ready for me to start a conversation, put in the people I need to get the stuff done, to kind of get this item resolved. Okay, that was a real whirlwind for which I kind of apologise a little bit, but not really, because it's kind of fun to keep it going quickly. The final thing I should show you actually is that all of this, you don't need to bounce around between the applications if you don't want to, because actually you could take this whole Power App and you could expose it inside Microsoft Teams as well as an application just like this. And then users have got a single place to go. You could see somebody in head office reviewing items through this application here, making changes, going through, clicking the button, starting the conversation, getting stuff resolved, deleting it and carrying on. That's a nice kind of flow that you've got going on there that users can have to kind of just meet these business processes for this particular kind of scenario we've set up around reporting inside, kind of COVID employees going back to work and all that sort of stuff. And that's how you can build a COVID-19 employee reporting solution using Microsoft's Power Platform. I've put full walkthrough steps in the blog post. That'll be in the description, the link to the blog post. And I'll also put a link into the full presentation I did for Modality as well, so you can watch that there. Thanks very much for watching.